Hello. You know, right now, currently, it's August 2026. I've been recording these videos. This is the 17th one. So I'm only on 17, and it's been about a year that I've been posting these. I mean, they're a little long, and I don't really feel like a lot of people are watching them. I do hope that the right people find them. I'm gonna wipe my camera off, so don't be startled. Um, I do hope the right people find them, and it's really, I feel, not up to me who the right people are. And so a part of me feels slightly discouraged. Even though I'm taking my sweet ass time, I don't really like marketing and advertising, and like I feel like I'm trusting in a process while also highly doubting myself. And so there's been some maybe incongruent, inconsistent energies in the way that I've been putting these out. And so I'm just sharing that as a fellow human that I'm gonna share all of these. But a part of me feels so excited to share this information, but then I just feel like I don't know if it's just like attention spans or the designs of those who own all of the free social media apps that we happen to have. Well, there's so many things that are not free and available and accessible. And so within what I am putting out in this series and really everything I do, it's more of like a call to shake things up a little bit, but I'm not necessarily for everyone. My voice a little monotone. I've probably brought this up already. And so if you enjoy this, share it. Or if you don't want to and you're just indulging in it, consider what I'm bringing up. Actually, I feel like this summer to me is like a pivotal moment. And you could say every day matters, sure, but there's something about the way people are speaking more and more about things that I talked about in the 90s. And I am not at all some leading truth teller. And yet, I got some shit to say. I'm just shy. And I don't know. I don't want to be relied on in certain ways. So I've weighed how to share the way I see things. And so it's sort of nice seeing people talk about things that maybe they hadn't considered in the past, or just that they're like, whoa. I mean, but then another part of it is it's pretty annoying. It's pretty fucking annoying watching people act like this stuff just started when they became aware of it. And so I'm not saying that, like, I guess I have to lead. But I do feel there's if you resonate and you're like me and it's not about everybody knowing who you are, but there's something to speaking that truth, expressing yourself. And it happens in little ways. Like I love to make people uncomfortable because it seems to happen when I say what I really mean, say what I really think, say what I really feel. And so one of the ways I do that is on my social media. I speak about like if you're watching my story, I will speak directly to you because I don't like people watching me. Now, back in the day, for some odd reason, like a couple thousand people used to watch my story, and I thought that was the experience everybody was having. And I can be a little oblivious to social things. And so over time, it trickled down, but it's like, I had a lot of people watching me when I was working for a cannabis dispensary and posting like weed and whatever. And then as I shifted more into whoever I am now, it's like less and less people were interested. And I get that because people want like a grab. They want candy. They want something sweet that they can go online and consume. But really, there are not a lot of ways for those of us who do have certain things to share and say. No one in my life really cares, like in my physical life. They're like, okay, shut up. It's always been like, something I've talked about since the 90s, a lot of these topics, and then it's as if people think I can't tell when they're not paying attention. And that's fine, but let's waste less energy. Like even that, when I say that to people, I can tell you're pretending like you're paying attention. Just tell me you're not interested so we can waste less time and energy on both parts. So all I'm trying to say is I will comment on my social media and my story, which is something that I feel becomes social taboo, the way we use things. It's like I don't feel everybody's thinking about the sways. It's not about the big bad and who owns everything and that design, but like the power of the people, if you will. And I think there's far too much passivity. And so I will comment on it. And I can tell it makes people uncomfortable because basically I'm like, stop looking at me and never liking anything that I share. It's not about likes, like, oh, I got this many likes. It's like, I literally can see you and you're seeing me, and that's fine. But to me, a like is like a hello. And it's not about anyone owing anyone anything. Something needs to shift in terms of connectivity because that to me, like disconnection with oneself, with each other, with nature, etc., that is the true root cause of a lot of issues. And I mean, beyond that, I could talk about bad aliens, and I will. But even then, there's a lot of things that are going to be rising. So if you happen to be watching this in 2026, I feel like it's a good time to be aware of this. However, I feel like I'm a little anxious about it because it's like these wave spells we all fall under and we have to just go back to certain things. But it's like, I don't think ever it's going to happen in the same way. But there are more and more narratives forming or rising or becoming popular that are divisive. And whether that is because of sex or gender or sexual orientation or, excuse me, skin color or race or country or like nationality, whatever. It's like, don't believe the hype. Even though I like to talk about bad aliens, I will always also be like, well, we are them. And not that you did it. You're so bad. No, but like, can we recognize that we are alive here now? So we can do stuff now. We can make changes now. There's not some future point. I mean, for me, when I was little, yeah, I had to fucking wait. I had to fucking wait decades. And I felt insane. And I know I'm not alone in that, but yes, that is something I experienced. I'm not like other people. And that's not like a pick me thing. It's like I cannot relate to any idea that I had a point in my childhood that was carefree. People don't like to believe that, and they don't need to. And it's not about like, oh my God, my trauma. No, I was like, I came here to fuck shit up. And I'm seeing things that nobody seems to give a shit about. And so even if I make people uncomfortable with the way that I express myself, I feel like as time goes on, especially, it is vital that we recognize to a degree some sort of dance or balance between the part of us that gets triggered or our nervous system is like, ah, and then the part of us that thinks we need to just be happy and regulated all the time or whatever. And this is a little bit of like, there isn't like me versus we. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Even though we live in a plane of polarity, it doesn't need to mean everything is a binary or a two choice sort of thing. You have to be clever. And as more people are talking their shit, talking about the unknown, trying to unveil the secrets of the cosmos, the unknown then also shifts because it doesn't want to be known. And maybe as humans, we aren't to know it. And if you're like me and you have any recollection of the you before you were in a body, whenever that was, wherever, whatever that means, you know, when you're not here, you're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And when you're here, you're like, whoa, blah, 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 blah is not at all how it is once you're here. So there's like two aspects where I feel like people are constantly giving this thing to a higher power or your higher self, and yet like it is vital that we be here and Do the damn thing. All right, I'm going off on tangents now, so I'm gonna share these slides. So I didn't even finish my point there, but I feel like I did, you know. So let's just move on, okay? Be clever. Be whimsically clever. Whimsically, is that a word? Whimsically clever. Be cleverly whimsical. Both, though. Be seriously silly. I was gonna be siliously serious. Okay. So I'm continuing here with some themes with the number 23 and the continued theme of putting frozen in these lowercase letters with the O and the Z and these capital letters. We are going to touch on some pairs of programming partners, so gene keys in a bit. And I'm actually probably going to skip through some of that stuff because it pertains to when I made these slides, which at this point was almost, it wasn't almost 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And they still land, but I don't want to spend a ton of time on them because it was more so about the shift occurring with the nodes, the north and south nodes in Pisces and Virgo. And in this last month, the nodes have shifted to Aquarius. So whether it's sidereal, 13 sign true sidereal, tropical, all the north node, south node right now is Aquarius north node and Leo south node. So we have sort of in my theorizing here with this series already gone past this marker of time where this nodal axis, it's not the truth of all. It's not this binary thing. However, there's something to a period of people becoming aware of certain things. And unfortunately, a lot of people have these stories about this split in a way that I don't really perceive it to be the same as what people are recommending that it means. Um, Not recommending. I don't know why that's the word I used. Insisting, whatever, just saying that it means. But you know, I would just be mindful of like how tender and deeply you feel that you feel as a human, that you feel for other people, and what you really believe your role is here. If it comes to like not a role in terms of like you have to be in service of others all the time, but if you were to be. And if you could release like your past shames or judgments upon yourself to be able to step into the whoever you and others need right now, like how would you act in certain ways? Like are there things you could do that really do have to do with like some, you know, like I was saying, I don't want people to rely on me. That's not really true. It's that I've grown up with a lot of adversity and being ostracized in certain ways. And so I sort of shut down. And so it really just feels emotionally painful to consider being open again to people who might just try to use me for all the information I have and then drop me or whatever it is. It's like we don't all need to be friends in every single way, but there's something to even my own self stepping out of a certain phase of passivity. There I go on another tangent. I went out on a limb to say that because my name is Tree. Okay, a quick reference to Gene Key 23 can reveal that it is a Taurus key, so we're focused on that 23 energy, so I will talk about this one. And in 13 sign, sidereal and tropical, in both, quote unquote, both, the approaches I've been playing with. It's a Taurus key. We have alchemy of congelation and transformation, and congelation is also a word. It used to be called crystallization, and crystallization is freezing. Stone, emerald. Okay, that's crazy. It's not crazy, but I didn't realize it till just now because I'm just me. Just hanging out. I do realize a lot of things, but there's a lot of things I don't realize or recognize. And so we are in August. Today is the 10th of August, 2026. And a little over a week ago, I did a live about a week and a half ago. I don't know why I'm being so, that's my own neurodivergence, if you will. I'm like, oh, technically it was a week and a half ago. It's like, that doesn't really matter. Okay. I recorded a live video about the full moon and I highlighted Gene Key 23, but I highlighted it because of the magpie and so if you follow me and you want to look at my Instagram, or I did upload it to here on YouTube, so you could check it out if you wanted to. So just interesting. Everything's always connecting. I feel a little crazy being here and like seeing connections between things that like to me everything is sort of like made of the same stuff here. Like it's everything's the same stuff here. Like everything here is made of the same stuff. And I get it. There's many teachings about like this outside thing that has come in, but it's almost like WandaVision. Once it comes into this plane, like it is what it is. It's not what something else wanted it to be. Because it's not about like the system of control. It's like this like really feminine energy. It's like enveloping. Whoosh. Don't forget, you're forgetting. Just be here now. Like in some sense that like ADHD or like attention stuff, it's actually just like being present. Not always, but okay, again, I'll stop. But go watch it if you want to. So we have magpie, sheep, scarab. Um, And with scarab and sheep, I said a Virgo and a Cancer nod because sheep and Virgo are connected in the cell salts approach with the potassium content of the sheep's wool. And then Cancer and scarab are also connected. Throat chakra, throat anatomy or physiology, and it is connected to hexagram 23. It's called splitting apart, mountain over earth. And the opposite key is 43, which is a Scorpio or Ophiuchus, depending on the lens key. The opposition to Taurus in general in like a 13 sign. In 12, it's Scorpio, whole sign. Well, yeah, in just 12 signs, Scorpio. And then with 13 sign, it opens up to the constellation sizes. So you could have Libra, Scorpio, or Ophiuchus. Like an example being in my birth chart in tropical, my sun is opposite Scorpio. You could say my earth placement is in Scorpio. You don't have to, but you could. In 13 sign true sidereal or true sky, the opposite from my sun is Libra. So very Venusian energy because my Taurus sun stays the same, but it's not about me, even though I keep talking about myself. Gene key spectrum, we have complexity to quintessence through simplicity. And victim consciousness, so victim of complexity. We have the repressed energy of being dumb, and this isn't about being stupid or that sort of energy. Or fragmented, reactive energy here, in terms of complexity. So, sort of related to that energy of what I was saying, where there's a version of you that can be here now and show up in certain ways, but there might be another version of you where you're like not able to uh be in this time space depending on a repressed or reactive and you could be a little bit of both response. So I would lean into the simplicity, the mid-level, the gift. Amino acid leucine and the codon ring is the ring of death with 3, 20, 23, 24, 27, and 42. Collectively right now, Uranus is in 20 and Chiron is in one, I think maybe like 42. Um, so life and death, some things occurring. Although we cannot necessarily blanket generalize things as good or bad, you can see layers of Aleister Crowley's Kabbalistic dictionary where he defines the number 23 as the number of parting, removal, separation. So that's splitting apart. A joy also, though, and a thread of life or a thread and life. And I know you keep seeing people talk about this. So it's so funny that I bring things up in my random tangents, but it's already in the slides. So stick to the slides or go on the tangents. I don't know. I keep doing both. I know you keep seeing, and I know maybe I'm assuming, I know you keep seeing people talk about this great separation or splitting apart of humanity, of society, I'm honestly not exactly sure, but it is certainly fascinating to look at the layers of what is considered to be frozen. Although Gene Key 3 touches on freezing energies through crystallization and congelation, it is actually Gene Key 24 the next one over, that has the word frozen attached to it in the gene keys approach. So in those repressed or reactive energies, we'll have frozen. And I'll speak a little bit more on the gene keys, but focusing back on the number 23, aside from the 23.5 degrees and all the connections mentioned and listed out previously, we have the focus of the Greek alphabet. And what is the 23rd letter of the Greek alphabet? Psi, of course, or psi. Psi, psi. Before we get into the the letter, considering it is a Neptunian energy, let me touch on one more 23 energy, July 23rd, Neptunalia, which recently passed. The heat and drought of the summer. We have July 23rd in tropical. It's a Cancer energy, but also some might consider the 23rd the first day of Leo season. With Cancer, we have a calc floor nod, though. And calc floor is something I wanted to highlight here within recent mentions of the Tropic of Cancer and this Jewel 23rd reference. Today I learned that, and this was, side note 2026, and it wasn't even today because today is today. And when did I add this? I guess last month because I was like, I'm gonna get all these readings or all these videos out for August, and I didn't record one since. Time is very funny to me. And it's actually kind of funny that I have this calendula oracle card next to me right now because what is another name for calendula? Clock flower. What? Time. Okay, so at some point recently, I learned that V is the symbol for vanadium, a hard, ductile, blue, silver gray transition metal with the atomic number 23. It is primarily used to strengthen steel alloys and in specialized engineering applications such as aerospace, and it is named after the Scandinavian goddess of beauty, Vanadis, I don't know. Atomic number 23, Z. Did I mean to put a Z there? In 1911, German alchemist. See, I'm always doing that, just adding things in. Um, German chemist Martin Henze discovered vanadium in the hemovanadin proteins found in blood cells or coalomic cells of Ascodicea. Squeeze sea squirts. Crystal, vanadinite. It's called brown lead. So I have some of that. But why did I mention this? I guess just because it's goddess of beauty. Sometimes when you do something and you're like, this makes so much sense, but then you don't write down the part that makes sense. I do that a lot. And here's an example of that. So make a comment if you know. All right, so these are the 12 biochemical cell salts. I am going to get into some of the lore of them. I love looking at them. I'm not a huge ginormous fan of all of homeopathy. Um and nobody has to be a huge ginormous fan of it. But I was going to say I do love the cell salts. I just don't know how I feel about all of the rest of homeopathy. These are just the different kinds. There's phosphates of lime, iron, potash, soda, and magnesia. There's chlorides of potash and soda, sulfates of lime, soda, and potassium, fluoride of lime, and pure silica. So you could screenshot this. You could go look them up yourselves. But I'm not solely focused on the cell salts in this 88 series. But maybe I'll do. Well, I mean, I have been focusing on them. If you wanted to check out on here and on Instagram, I have slides. On here, I just have the videos of me reading the slides. But I am slowly going through. I'm only on Gemini, different parts of things to do with the cell salts if you are interested in that. These are different ways that I wrote them all out and added information like the physiology and the zodiac connected to them. So there are three main groups, and they're the calcium, potassium, and sodium group. We can use mental traits from homeopathy to differentiate the tissue salts for treating constitutional disorders. Thus, the calcium trait usually puts a high value to stability and security. Hence, the person is usually nesting and willingly plays a supportive role. So we have calc fluor with Cancer, calc clack, calc false with Capricorn, and calc sulf with Scorpio. And I put them in that order because calc fluor is typically the number one salt. Calc phos. Oh wait, calc phos is like 10. I don't know why I put them in that order. Um, but I did. So those are the three signs, two water signs, one earth sign. And so you can consider that that a person who has this as their sun sign and maybe even elsewhere might have this energy. But without the zodiac, you could just toss out it being about the birth chart at all. You could toss out the zodiac signs altogether and simply look at the way a person is in their nature or their constitution. The potassium trait is to be preoccupied with self-esteem issues like status and personal honor. Hence, the person will hold their values and react to blame. So, why did I only put them in there? I'll do it again here. Gemini, Aries, and Virgo. Oh, these are pairing them together in such an interesting way. Oops. And then there's more, but I'll point that out in a sec. So we have Kali. Let me read that again. The potassium trait is to be preoccupied with self-esteem issues like status and personal honor. Hence, the person will hold on to their values and react to blame. So we have Gemini, Aries, and Virgo, and that is so interesting to pair them together. Even though I don't think the notes that I got this book from pair the zodiac, I did. I'm pretty sure I added what? Duh, I just did right in front of you. Okay. And the sodium person is always busy doing something like tooling. I am kind of a tool. And as a result, people can find them to be emotionally unresponsive. This is Aquarius, Libra, and Taurus. That is funny because I am very emotional, but I'm tinkering away here, okay? My mind is somewhere else, or I'm actually tinkering away. Interesting to note that both Cancer and Capricorn, tropical or tropics, not, I mean, are calcium energies, and this makes me think of the calcium channels of the body. And it's interesting that I even mentioned this over a year ago because I see people talking about the calcium channels now in a really bizarre way. I feel like everyone, like, I don't know. People really are like, I figured it all out. That's fucking lame. All right, with Scorpio being the other calcium salt, you could maybe see the different layers of how we can be affected universally, collectively, and individually by certain off energies and certain manipulation. Extracellular fluids may contain sodium, so the sodium salts are helpful in cleansing the blood and lymphatic system. The intracellular fluids may contain potassium, so the potassium salts are helpful in cleansing the nerves, glands, and mucous membranes. The deficiency of myrrh or chloride gives cough disorders. So this is Gemini and Aquarius salts. The deficiency of phosphate salts gives rise to weakness. So we have Caliphos, Magphos. Okay, or I'll do the other way. Aries, Leo. I'm not going to read all those. These salts are the ones in Nerve Tonic by Highlands, or not just by Highlands. It doesn't matter. I'm not sharing these slides. Um, but that's like it's called the Nerve Tonic. I'm sure there's other 5-in-1 maybe it's called, but yeah, so 5 out of the 12, right? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 out of the 12 cell salts are phosphates. So, there's whole conspiracies with that too. So, whatever. And the deficiency of sulfate. Salt gives rise to an accumulation of toxins and have yellow discharges. All right, I don't like talking about the discharges. Consider the following order. In the first stage, when there is redness and temperature, use fair phos. So this is the stuff I said I might skip over because when I was doing this class, I also was talking about the cell salts here and there. But some of this stuff I think is unnecessary for me to read right now. Oh, I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. Be mindful that silica removes all that does not belong. So be careful if you have any sort of metal or other type of implant in your body, as it may attempt to remove it. Okay. These are different ways to take cell salts. I'm also not going to talk about this right now. Sorry if you wanted that, but like I said, this is not the focus here, and I want to get back to like the cancer energy, the okay. With cell salts, you can take them any way you want to. And then, like I said, you could apply them with the zodiac. So, Dr. George W. Carey, he has a book called God Man, The Word Made Flesh, but also the salts and the zodiac and the salts of salvation. And so he speaks about a little bit more of the maths and shapes of astrology and the cell salts matching up with it. So you could follow that as well, where, like, for example, I'm a Taurus sun. So I was in my mom's womb up until a certain time. And so I was not in the womb for about 3 months of the year. I was born, I guess, as a 9 month gestation, but not everybody is. So if you were born early, you would apply more of those salts. You could, and this could complete some sort of growth cycle, but you could also take the salt of your sun and your moon or your rising or your descendant. There's a lot of different ways you could do pretty much anything here, and that's why I'm not reading all of this right now. Um, but calc floor is I say this all the time, one of my favorite cell salts. They're all my favorite. We have cell salt number one. I don't know why number one is twice there, but because it's great. Scarab, crab, tummy, oh wait, bear, tummy, spleen. Loss of elasticity is deficiency, calcification in joints and glands. That's another one. The elastic tissue of smooth muscles of arteries, intestines, bladder, uterus, and skin, tooth enamel, larynx, thyroids. That's where you can find calc floor. Facial signs can also be used to diagnose things. So one of the things for this is about wrinkles or bluish black coloring around the eyes. I definitely have had that. Sorry, my mouth's a little dry. Um, I'm reading the bottom here. I'm skipping down. So calc floor connects with a certain mindset about finances, and it shares a common aid with Ferrophos or Pisces salt in assisting organ prolapse and the like healing of this energy. So I have really appreciated this cell salt. Calcarea floor. This cell salt. See, I keep adding in words ever since I hit my head years ago. Gosh darn it. This salt is the main constituent of both tooth enamel and the elastic fiber of all muscular and connective tissues. Hence, you can use it when the skin, muscles, ligaments, and or the blood vessels have lost their elasticity, are sagging, or have become lax. It tones up the smooth muscles that have lost their flexibility and elasticity, and this is chronic dilation. Thus, calc floor will heal a prolapsed uterus, a bladder or uterus with a dragging down sensation, hemorrhoids that have enlarged, joints that dislocate easily, glands that have hardened or calcified since the exudation of waste was difficult, skin that is cracked or sagging, and veins that have become varicose, swollen, and prominent. It will tighten the gums around the teeth and prevent them from receding. It will soften the lumps that develop. So I guess like the wording here is like what it is for, but also how deficiencies can present. I guess that's kind of the same thing. What is it for? And then also how it can help. It will soften the lumps that develop on bones after a bad bruise to a bone or a fracture around joints after a bad sprain. It will strengthen the bones that are bending, as in bow legs or a hunched back, and break down the spurs that develop osteoarthritis. In respiratory ailments, the deficiency of this tissue salt causes the discharges from the nose, throat, or the chest to be typically thick, yellow, and lumpy. Ugh. Calc floor is a great remedy for stiffness and cartilages. It will relieve back aches and joint pains that become worse on beginning to move and get better with continued movement. Its action is similar to Rostok's remedy in homeopathy. Um, the symptoms are usually worse in wet weather, and some of the clinical conditions are weak enamel of the teeth, fissures or cracks in gums, receded gums, prolapsed uterus, varicose veins, uterus displacements, hernia, fistula, piles, internal hemorrhoids, anal fissures, spurs and joints, cataract, rough and cracked skin, knotty lymphatic glands. I think we've mentioned enough of it here. So we have calc floor as flux and as the welder, and it's also employed in making opal glass. So therefore, it could be said that a deficiency in this salt diminishes crystalline lens on the eye, and it can cause cataracts. We have cornea, a transparent structure forming the anterior part of the external layer of the eyeball. Cornea means horny in Latin as corneus. Part of the approach of medical astrology would be pinpointing and breaking down the degrees and decans, however you say that, of each sign in someone's chart. Much data has been accumulated proving that when the 13th degree of Aries is afflicted by square from Cancer, and indeed from Libra and Capricorn, it is proof of a degenerating optic nerve, for it lies within the middle of the decan of Aries, which allocates physiologically with the optic thalamus, the all-seeing eye, which is really a continuation of the brain substance itself. It's making me think of my dad because he's Aries. Wonder which degree his chart is. That'd be crazy if it was that, because he has had a lot of issues with his eyes and cataracts. Mm. Fluorescence. This salt is thermofluorescent, meaning its luminescence is exhibited by certain substances after exposure to heat, cathode, or solar rays. The word fluor is the root of fluorescence, and as chemistry informs us, this salt is thermofluorescent. It glows on exposure. I feel like I cannot talk. I just said it glows on exposure to moderate heat. Fluorescent means the property substance had this. All right, let me reel it in here. Fluorescent means that property a substance has when illuminated of giving off light of a color different from its own and from that of any incident light, the light falling upon it. Thermofluorescent means luminescence exhibited by a certain substance after exposure to heat, cathode, or solar rays. The light given off is usually of greater wavelength than the incident light, and the violet and ultraviolet rays are its best exciters. It is powerfully fluorescent. I can see ultraviolet rays. Not all the time, and if I talked about it more, and I won't, it could just be and I think I actually do bring it up. It could just be considered that my eyes are failing. Maybe they are, I don't know. I believe this plane is not just some place to come deteriorate. Calcium fluoride will not combine with oxygen, and when we find in this fact the reason why it must constitute a large percentage of the material used in forming the corpuscle, so that it will not be deprived of oxygen, for it too must breathe. Indeed, a corpuscle is, in a sense, a fish as well as an egg, for the kind of air it needs to sustain life must be similar to that which serves to maintain life in the inhabitants of the sea. Corpuscles, fish, eggs, macro, micro. So, corpuscle theory is considered pseudoscience at this point in modern history and time, but I enjoy reading about it. So, definitely check out George Carey if you want to read his work on it. Sorry, I'm distracted because Fox just walked in the room. Hi, Fox. Excuse me. Physiologically, calc fluor, aka fluoride of lime, is connected to teeth, connective tissue, elastic fiber of all muscular tissue. The cell salt majorly supports the elastic tissue, therefore the fascia, and it also supports the arachnoid membrane in the brain and the spinal cord. When there is a deficiency of elastic fiber, this occurs in the connective tissue of the cerebrum and the cerebellum, and an abnormal process of thought occurs, causing groundless fears. If you didn't hear that, I said groundless fears of financial ruin. I guess if you want that, I'll let you eat some of that. I might have to go give him some food. A deficiency in calc fluor can present as, so I've already read some of these, but I won't read all of them here. Fear of poverty, holding on like the crab to every cent, scarcely letting go to purchase even the bare necessities. Forgetfulness, lack of mental elasticity, one losing their grip or their positivity. So I've already read a lot of these more physical ones, blurred vision, loose teeth, cold sensitive teeth. Um, what else? Um, hardening glands, prolapsed uterus, falling of the womb, a general sagging down feeling. Spleen, spleen trouble. Forgetfulness and fear of poverty are some of the outstanding indications. A crusty disposition is another. So crust is spoken about here with like the crab energy, forming this shell. And it can be protective, it can be safe, but the funny part of a deficiency here and this book that I love sharing from, The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation, he does give this a crusty disposition. You sassy little bitch. Um, our outer eyes constitute a zodiac in themselves. And very interesting science will eventually develop, which will throw light on the condition of the areas in the two cerebral hemispheres, in addition to those in the body as now used. So with calc salt or Scorpio salt, it also deals with the cornea. So there's water salts having to do with, what did I put here? I don't want to read all of this, so I'm not going to. Sagittarius in its pure and crystallized form, it is rock crystal or quartz. In organic chemistry, we find that it stiffens the stems of cereal grains, and it also is found in animal tissues. It often occurs in the form of hexagonal prisms crowned by six-sided pyramids. As the triangle is the symbol of fire, it will easily be seen how correct Dr. Carey's allocation is. No matter how small the particles of silicea are broken up, all take the triangular form, which is of course analogous to the arrowhead. It is scientific fact that practically all materials, and some say all, crystallize. When such is the case, the crystals may be easily seen, and quartz crystals are said to be the only ones not visible. Domenico Guglielmini Padova 1706 asserted that the crystals of each salt had a shape of their own, with the plane angle of faces always the same. Modern scientists state that the angles between corresponding faces of all crystals of the same chemical substance are always the same, and that the characteristics of the substance and are the characteristic of the substance. It is obvious then that the chemical element allocating with a certain zodiacal sign naturally associates it with it in order to accomplish a certain definite work in the body of the universe and of man. Nearly all of the mineral salts crystallize under the hexachus, the octahedron form. They have 6 scalene angles and 48 faces. This is the greatest number of faces of possibly any simple form in crystals. It is very interesting to note that calcium fluoride crystals are used by opticians in the construction of certain lenses. It will be recalled that calcium fluoride is the cancer sign salt. It is a salt ruled by the moon, and it has a great deal to do with the brain and hence the eyes, and a lack of this salt causes cataracts. Um, okay, hold on. Do you hear that? Okay, I'm gonna pause this. Cats. I'm not opening the window right now, Fox. I want to finish this video. My mom makes fun of me because she's like, you just do whatever they want you to do. And I usually do. But I'm gonna finish this video first. Um, so I'm not gonna talk about this either, but it's just more on calcium. What else about calcium? Fluoride, fluoride of lime. It's a magnetic force with Cancer energy, the zodiac sign. It's female, cold. Look more into the cell salts and how he breaks all this down for more info there. Um, Tissue, elasticity, tooth enamel, bone coating. I like that. No, I'm not opening it right now. I love you, though. So sweet. Yeah, I'll open it in a bit, okay? Um, Let me just do like 10 more minutes here. I mean, I gave you food, but he doesn't want the food. He wants to go in the window. It's a moon ruler. It is emotions, rules the breast, stomach, emotions, and upper digestion. You can also include the stomach and the spleen. No, no. Emotional imbalance, indecisiveness, weakness, low self-esteem, stress regarding financial matters. Oh, I definitely have this deficiency. Um, and then other stuff I don't want to talk about, but look into my cell salt stuff if you want to go in that. We're going to continue a little bit more here though with Psi, the 23rd letter. Phew, okay. So that was a whole journey after journey, and I didn't read every single slide, but I would invite you back in to go back in while you feel called. So like if you like the cell salts, go back into that journey. You know what it is like to feel called, you're like called to do something and then you keep putting it off. So just consider it. Anyway, I'm sorry, Fox. Back to Psi, the 23rd letter of the Greek alphabet. Like, how in the world did that all just come together like that? Because it's already all connected. Psi is the penultimate letter of the Greek alphabet, from pain, almost, and ultimus, final. It's next to the last. So there are 24 letters in the Greek alphabet. This immediately precedes the member of a series, which is the last, next to last of or relating to the penult of a word. In both classical and modern Greek, the letter indicates a combination ps, as in lapse. It's funny that they use the word lapse because we're talking about prolapse with cancer, but then you could also consider time lapse. And just one last salt nod from that. I came across these notes that I took. Prolapse being correlated with the Cancer cell salt as well as the Pisces cell salt. Just wipe your eye there. Where did that go? Um, okay, so prolapse, fall down or out. Prolapsus, prolabi, glide forward, slide along, slip forward or down. Um, a falling down of some part of the body from 1808. Prolapsion, falling into sin. So forward, forth, toward the front, beforehand, in advance, in place of, on behalf of, taking care of, before, in front of, sooner. And then lapse, we have a lapsing of time, expiration, also temporary forfeiture. How do you say that? Of a legal right. I'm sorry that he sounds so sad. He's okay. He says, "No, I'm not." Um, lapsus, a slipping and falling, a landslide, flight of time, falling into error, decline, go into ruin. Interesting. Slip of the memory. And lapse as a verb, to go by, to pass of time, or pass of time, to lose one's footing. Reminds me of the beginning of this journey and speaking about language and the dactyls and the spondies of it all. So it makes me also think about the Milky Way, gravity, our universe being labeled as fallen, and the cosmic web of creation. An article I've been seeing this year was, and this was the other year, mysterious James Webb discovery could mean we live in a black hole. And that also means there's a white hole nearby. I have seen so many people that have been experiencing prolapsed organs and they're also worried about finances and the future. And this does not mean they are consumed by it, but it is reflected in the presence of a physical prolapse. A part of an organ of the body becomes displaced from its original or normal or appropriate or aligned position, downward, outward, as to protrude from an orifice. So there's recticell, the rectum is prolapsed, uterine, cystocell, which is the bladder, enterosmel, the small intestine, urethrosemel, cell, the vat. Hold on a sec. Fox. We'll see if he can handle it. He's mad at me. And I call in again the energies from a recent recording where I mentioned the orifices, and I have some slides that I bring up from a post I made with Ascension Glossary info that I think is interesting when it comes to this energy of time lapse and prolapse. Aside from all of the dogma surrounding diagnosing symptoms, etc., I believe the body, no matter how it looks, is always holographically whole, always moving, always oscillating, always presenting potential and support in wholeness. We are black holes. So I am not sharing this for contemplation of lack and prolapse, but just playing with the energies. So this is some of that information I mentioned, and we have a highlight of the throat chakra because the part of the Ascension Glossary is about this Leo energy and how the throat chakra, well, here are some notes from a class I took. The thyroid breaks down food for the body, and it also breaks down the energies that pass through it to maintain the energy body. And this chakra is most commonly associated with the color blue and maybe even a turquoise blue at times. Responsible for sound, expression, speech, communication, and hearing. Through this chakra, all energies and information are disseminated as they pass to and from the higher sixth and seventh chakras to the lower fourth, third, first, second, third, and fourth chakras. It is the filtering point for all data, which are sorted, systemized, and then disseminated as our personal expression. All energies that flow up and down the meridians of the body pass through this area. So I have a feeling that this prolapse energy and a lot of the thyroid issues that women experience, because this would be, prolapse can happen in men, but there's something about this being a female issue to a degree without getting into the range of spectrum of what is considered a female. But I'm speaking about womb prolapse, and then a lot of issues with the thyroid, or even the throat. But I know, like, my sister has a thyroid autoimmune disorder. The fifth chakra, or the throat chakra, it's our vocal expression that we use to command energy into form manifestation. When we are aligned with what we are creating and speaking into manifestation, our throat chakra is open and clear. We are learning to become fully comfortable speaking our truth, expressing our authentic self in the 3D material reality. The fifth chakra is a vital part of humanity's spiritual awakening, for as individuals awaken to the authentic aspect of their eternal self, a new voice is born as it aligns to the inner spirit to speak spiritual will. We have the throat chakra, the fifth chakra, Leo energy, and then the sacral chakra, the second chakra, Taurus energy, two key creative energy centers that work together. A sympathetic response in the throat chakra may be directly related to the accelerated second chakra clearing. The fifth chakra in principle is masculine energy, and the second chakra is feminine energy. It's like south and north poles. As we are undergoing the masculine and feminine energy integration, this is one of the key processes we are experiencing, and why these two creative points unify to work together on clearing old patterns. The center for the soul matrix body is the 5D layer of the light body, which sets the patterns for our etheric body. As such, it is called the archetypal or typal body. During soul embodiment, the 5D archetypal body merges with the physical layers through the blue flame or the blue chakra wave spectrum. When bringing in the blue flame wave spectrum into the physical layers, the soul becomes increasingly focused within the body, shifting consciousness into the soul frequencies. In the human body design, all orifices function as divine principles which serve as a physical conduit to its spiritual counterpart connected in another dimension. In most people that are spiritually activated at the soul level, all 7 orifices on the face are directly connected to the archetypal mind in the 5th dimension and are directly connected to the throat chakra. This is why we will observe a predominant wave of disease patterns in the public from the blocked throat chakra or 5D pattern. So we have all of these things on the face. We have right and left eye, right and left ear, right and left nostril, and the mouth and the tongue. So we have these different male and female parts, with the mouth and tongue being male and female principles united. And then right being masculine, left being feminine. Our eyes collect light from the surrounding environment, then regulate and focus it through lenses to form an image, converting this image into a set of electrical signals and transmitting these signals to the brain through complex neural pathways. Our negative ego belief systems form filters which can become implants that limit what spectrum of light will form images that are acceptable to our eyes. This is why it is crucial to maintain an open and flexible mind, or the light spectrum and filters of your eyes will become incredibly limited and thus subjected to control. This means mind control through negative ego also controls your vision, what you can see, and what you do not see. A mind controlled person will see much less in their vision than a person with an open and free mind. This could also have to do with how wide the peripheral vision might be. Our hearing from our right ear corresponds to the axiotonal lines that resonate primarily with the mental planes 3, 6, and 9D. Our hearing with our left ear corresponds to the axiotonal lines in 4, 7, and 10D. Because of the issues in the astral plane, this could already be a healed thing. The left ear is used to broadcast from the astral plane. As a result, many astral and fallen entities send messages to the human nervous system, mainly through this area. Our goal is to heal this area from astral manipulation by being aware of it. As we heal our left side and our left ear by removing alien machinery and astral intermediaries, we are able to receive the frequency broadcast from our avatar Christ self. The avatar Christ self is formed from our original Lyran body and directs the carrier wave through the 10th dimension to communicate directly with our body and consciousness. Eventually, we want to have our body completely governed and controlled by our Christ avatar self. And so this is from Ascension Glossary. The right nostril represents physical energy for the body and mind. Breathing through the right nostril is important for circulating more energy and is important in balancing metabolic processing. Breathing in through your left nostril will access the right feeling hemisphere of your brain. Breathing in through your right nostril will access the left thinking hemisphere of your brain. Consciously alternating your breath between either nostril will allow you to activate and access your whole brain. This brings balance through both breath channels, and it's located in the right and left nostril pathway. If your breathing air pathway through your nose is not easy, this means there is some breath work, I call it breath play, and meditation needed to clear this area both energetically and physically. Imbalance in thinking will clog your nostrils and breathing pathway. The mouth and tongue are extremely important because this orifice represents the male and female union, and the breath pathway in the mouth connects directly to the sexual organs. It is diaphragm energy here too. Like you can pump the diaphragm of the throat, the tongue. The mouth represents the word as spoken by the logos of Creator. When the throat chakra is clear, the voice in the spirit, fire, breath is carried in the word spoken. The mouth opening and the external lips are the female organ. The tongue represents the intonation of frequency of the words generated and represents the male organ. Together, the mouth and tongue represent the union of male and female, and when used correctly, form inner herogamic union. What we put in our mouth becomes a part of our body. What we speak out of our mouth becomes manifested in the world. When this area is infiltrated or sick, it will impact our sexual organs functioning. I did put that there. Maybe I will just... I think I already read these in a different post. Yeah. I'll stop here for now. So thank you. Until next time, I'm going to go hang out with my cat.